Title suggestion: the ancient rule of increase that most leaders get backwards, according to the I Ching. The most powerful military strategy in history says to never fight to win. In the year 1046 BC, a rebel leader named King Wu stood on the banks of the Yellow River with an army that was outnumbered 10-1. His opponent, the Shang Emperor, possessed the most advanced bronze weaponry and chariot divisions the world had ever seen. By every metric of modern business and warfare, Wu should have been annihilated. Yet, he didn't focus on conquering territory or hoarding gold. Instead, he did something that baffled his advisors. He gave away his personal grain reserves to the starving peasants of his enemy's land before the first arrow was even fired. He practiced the ancient paradox found in the 42nd hexagram of the I Ching. To increase yourself, you must first decrease your ego and increase those below you. Most people spend their lives trying to get more followers, more money, more status. But the I Ching, a 3,000-year-old manual for the universe, claims that this is the fastest way to lose everything. Today, we decode the rule of increase. We will look at why the most successful CEOs of the 21st century are unknowingly following a script written by a prisoner in a stone cell 3 millennia ago. If you feel like you're pushing against a wall, if your growth has stalled, or if you're terrified of the next transition in your life, pay attention. The oracle has an answer that your intuition has been trying to tell you for years. To understand the power of the I Ching, you must understand where it was born. It wasn't written in a peaceful monastery. It was refined in a dungeon. King Wu, the father of the Zhou dynasty, was imprisoned by a tyrant who feared his wisdom. For 7 years, Wu sat in darkness. He didn't have a kingdom, he didn't have an army, and he didn't have a future. All he had were the 64 hexagrams, patterns of energy that govern how the world changes. He realized that change isn't random. It's a cycle. Just as summer must become autumn, and the moon must wane before it waxes, every human situation has a season. If you try to plant seeds in the winter, you die. If you try to harvest in the spring, you fail. Think about your current career. Are you trying to harvest when you haven't even cleared the soil yet? The stakes for King Wu were life and death. If he chose the wrong moment to act, his entire bloodline would be erased. This is the weight of the wisdom we are discussing. This isn't self-help. This is survival. The ancient Chinese saw the world not as a collection of things, but as a flow of events. When we look at a company like Apple or a leader like Marcus Aurelius, we see the finished product. We see the increase. But the I Ching asks, what was the movement that led there? What was the sacrifice that made the growth possible? In the modern world, we are obsessed with more. We want to increase our profit margins. We want to increase our productivity. But the I Ching warns us that increase, hexagram 42, is always followed by decrease, hexagram 41. They are two sides of the same coin. If you don't understand the mechanics of how increase actually works, you will inadvertently trigger your own downfall. The 42nd hexagram is called I. It is composed of two primary elements, wind over thunder. Visualize that. Thunder is the energy of a sudden start, a spark, a breakthrough. Wind is the energy of penetration, of persistence, of subtle influence. When wind and thunder work together, they represent a period of rapid, explosive growth that reaches everywhere. But here is the catch. The I Ching says, and I quote, "To rule by virtue is to decrease those above and increase those below." In ancient China, this meant a king lowering taxes and giving his own wealth to the people. In your life, this means something much more radical. Let us dive into the first core teaching of the oracle. The text says, increase. It furthers one to undertake something. It furthers one to cross the great water. Read that again. It furthers one to cross the great water. In the I Ching, crossing the great water always means taking a massive, calculated risk. It means leaving the shore of what is comfortable and heading into the unknown. But why is this the advice for a time of increase? Surely, if things are going well, you should stay where you are? Wrong. This is the mistake that kills empires. Think of Blockbuster Video in the year 2000. They were at the height of their increase. They had the cash, the stores, the brand. They had the chance to buy a small, struggling startup called Netflix for $50 million. They refused. They stayed on the shore. They didn't cross the great water because they were too comfortable with their current increase. Within a decade, they were extinct. The actionable principle here is this: true increase is not a destination. It is a window of opportunity that requires you to move faster than you feel comfortable moving. When the wind and thunder are behind you, you don't sit still. You use that momentum to tackle the biggest problem you've been avoiding. What is your great water? Is it a conversation? Is it a career pivot? Is it a creative project you've been waiting for the right time to start? The Oracle says, the time is when the increase is flowing. If you wait until you need to move, the wind has already died down. The second core teaching is the most counterintuitive part of the entire book of changes. The source text states, to decrease those above and increase those below brings supreme good fortune. In plain language, if you are the leader, you must decrease yourself to increase your team. If you are a creator, you must decrease your ego to increase the value you give to your audience. Consider the story of Patagonia. Their founder, Yvon Chouinard, decided to decrease his own profit margins by telling people not to buy his jackets unless they absolutely needed them. He focused on the increase of the environment and the increase of the customer's long-term trust. By decreasing the traditional corporate ego that demands infinite growth at any cost, he created a brand so powerful it became a global movement. Did you know that companies that prioritize servant leadership, leaders who see themselves as being at the bottom of the pyramid, supporting everyone else, statistically outperform their competitors by over 20% in long-term stock value? The actionable principle is simple but painful. Identify where you are being greedy with your energy, your time, or your credit. If you take all the credit, you increase your ego, but you decrease your foundation. Eventually, the foundation collapses. If you give the credit away, you decrease your ego, but you increase the strength of the people holding you up. The third teaching focuses on the imagery of the hexagram, wind and thunder. The I Ching says, the superior man, when he sees good, he imitates it. When he has faults, he rids himself of them. This sounds like basic morality, but it's actually a high-level strategy for decision-making in times of change. The wind represents penetrating insight. The thunder represents decisive action. When you are in a period of increase, you will be bombarded with good opportunities. You will also be tempted to keep your old, bad habits because, hey, things are working anyway. This is the danger zone. We see this in The Curse of the Winner. A young trader makes $1 million by being lucky. Because he is increasing, he assumes his faults, his recklessness, his lack of research are actually strengths. He doesn't rid himself of his faults. He doubles down on them. And then the thunder stops. The wind turns. And he is left with nothing. Actionable principle. In your moments of greatest success, conduct a fault audit. Don't look at what you're doing right. Everyone is telling you that. Look at what you are doing wrong that you are currently getting away with. Rid yourself of it now, while you have the resources to survive the transition. Now, we must look at the warning. Every hexagram has 6 lines, and the 6th line, the top line, is often a warning of what happens when you take a principle too far. The 6th line of increase says, he brings increase to no one. Indeed, someone even strikes him. He does not keep his heart steadfast. Misfortune. This is a chilling description of the selfish increaser. This is the person who uses the momentum of the universe only for themselves. They hoard. They take. They refuse to increase those below. The oracle is telling us that the universe is a closed-loop system. If you try to create an increase that doesn't benefit the whole, the system will eventually strike you. It's not just karma. It's physics. Look at the history of monopolies. Standard Oil, AT&T, even the modern tech giants. When the increase becomes purely about the one and stops being about the many eventually rise up to strike. It might be through regulation, it might be through a competitor, or it might be through internal rot. Actionable principle. If your success doesn't have a beneficiary other than yourself, it is mathematically unstable. You must find a way to attach your growth to the growth of something larger, your community, your industry, or the planet. Let's stop. Take a breath. Why are you watching this? Is it because you feel like you're doing everything right, but the results aren't scaling? Or is it because you've reached a level of success and you're secretly terrified that it's all going to disappear? The I Ching is not a book of luck. It is a book of alignment. If you are aligned with the season, you don't have to push. The river carries the boat. If you are out of alignment, you can have the most powerful engine in the world and you will still run aground. Let's look at the final quote from the core teaching section. The supreme good is to be like the path of the sun. It shines on the high peaks first, but it does not stop until it has reached the deepest valley. Think about your influence. Does it stop at the high peaks, the people who can do something for you? Or does it reach the deepest valleys, the people who can do nothing for you? The I Ching suggests that true, permanent increase is a top-down energy that must reach the bottom to be complete. If the light only stays at the top, the bottom stays cold. And eventually, the cold will rise to meet the heat. We have moved through the philosophy. Now, we move through the practice. You have 7 days. The oracle does not reward those who merely listen. It rewards those who act. Here are the 3 things you must do this week to activate the hexagram of increase in your life. Step 1. Perform the lower audit. Look at your life, your business, your family, your social circle. Who is below you in terms of power, resources, or knowledge? This week, find a way to increase them without expecting a return. If you're a manager, give a junior employee a high-stakes opportunity and offer to be their shield if it fails. If you're an entrepreneur, share a trade secret with someone just starting out. If you're a student, mentor someone who is struggling. Remember, to decrease those above to increase those below brings supreme good fortune. You are decreasing your time and your advantage to strengthen your environment. Watch what happens to the energy of the room when you do this. You are building a foundation that can support a much larger increase later. Step 2. Cross the great water. There is a decision you have been simmering on. You've been waiting for more data, more certainty, or a sign. This is your sign. The I Ching says that in the time of increase, the wind and thunder are behind you. This week, you must take the first irreversible step toward that decision. Don't do the whole thing. Just cross the first bit of water. Send the email. Book the flight. Sign the document. The energy of increase is like a wave. It only helps you if you are actually on the board. If you're sitting on the beach, the wave just hits you and makes you wet. Where in your life are you playing it safe while the sun is shining? That is where you are rotting. Move. Step 3. The fault purge. Pick one habit or shortcut that you are currently using to get ahead. Maybe you're slightly exaggerating your results. Maybe you're neglecting your health to get more work done. Maybe you're being curt with people because you're too busy. Because you are in a period of relative increase, you think you are getting away with it. You aren't. You are just accumulating karmic debt that will be collected during the period of decrease. Ridding yourself of a fault when things are going well is a move of supreme wisdom. It's like fixing a hole in your roof while the sun is out. If you wait for the rain, it's too late. Identify that one fault today and eliminate it by Sunday. 3,000 years ago, King Wen sat in a cell and realized that the universe wants to increase you. It really does. But it can only increase a vessel that is open. If you are full of your own ego, full of your own hoarding, there is no room for the wind and thunder to enter. This stingy emperor lost his throne because he thought increase was about taking. King Wu gained an empire because he realized increase was about giving. You started this video because you wanted to know how to grow. Now you know. Growth is a byproduct of sacrifice. To get to the next level of you, you must be willing to decrease the current version of you. If you found this transmission valuable, the link to the Art of War playbook is in the description. It is a modern distillation of these principles for the boardroom and the battlefield. In our next episode, we will look at Hexagram 29, the abysmal, how to survive when the increase stops and you find yourself in the heart of the storm. Do not wait for the wind to change. Become the wind.